This video briefly illustrates how the QC trending module works in Gen 5 2.0. First of all, in Gen 5 2.0, the QC trending module is included with Gen 5 Secure. So if a user is interested in the QC trending module, they need to purchase Gen 5 Secure. So first of all, it's important to know that the QC trending module works based on protocols, and so that's where we're going to start. We're going to open an existing protocol. Here I'm on the task manager, and I'm going to go to open, and on my desktop I have a BCA protein assay protocol. Here we go. And if you look at this protocol, so it's a very simple endpoint absorbance assay. The procedure is very simple. We're going to take a quick look at the plate layout. And what you can see on the layout here, what I have blanks, I have standards right here, and then I have two controls, control 1, control 2. And so what we want to do here is track these two controls over time and plate to plate to see how they trend over days and weeks and things like that. And that's what the QC trending module is going to allow to do. So this is just a standard protocol, nothing special about it. But what I'm going to do here now is use this icon here, edit trended protocols. That is also available here, trended protocols. Same thing. Here my list is completely empty, and I'm going to go to new. And I'm going to make sure to browse to the right protocol. That's the one. So that's the protocol I want to trend. And within that protocol, I need to define which controls I want to track. This is the purpose of this button here, new. First, I want to track control 1, and we're going to say that this is a low control. Data in. Here we're going to use just raw data. Well ID coming from the plate layout, control 1. And here, so that's what is called the metric. That's my control 1 that I want to follow. And here I can edit what is called the population. So let's say this is lot number 1 of this control. And I expect a mean value around 2.1. And I expect a standard deviation around 0.1, for example. People with experience with their assay would know these values. Here. As you can see here, I can add new, and what this is here is a population, and a population could be lot number 2, for example. So the same control, but a second lot of the same control that might have a slightly different mean value, and standard deviation could be different or the same. So you have two concepts here, the metric, which is the control that you want to track, and within this metric you have populations that are typically lot numbers. So my low control for a week, I'm going to use lot number 1, and then I'm going to switch to lot number 2. Let's see how this works, and I'm going to quickly add another metric, which is my other control. I'm going to call it high control. This is control number 2, and here I only have one lot, and I expect a mean value around 2.5 and standard deviation around 0.15, for example. So I have two metrics, and for metric number 1, the low control, I have defined two populations. From now on, this protocol will be trended. And here I'm in Gen 5 Secure, so I'm getting some audit trail messages. And so here I have the list of my trended protocols. Now here is how it works when you run a plate. First, I need, of course, to create an experiment. So I'm going to go to experiment, create using an existing protocol. I'm going to use my trended protocol. And now we're ready to go. I'm going to read, so I click read. And as you can see, I have this QC population prompt that's asking me, you want to track your high control, your low control. I can select which population I want to track. For high control, I only have one. For the low control, I have the two. And I'm going to hit OK. The plate is being read. Here we're in simulation mode. And now I'm going to keep going. I'm going to read a few more plates. Plate number 2, no change here. Let's go. And plate number 3. Same thing. Exporting happens automatically because if you look at the preference right here, you will see that auto export is selected. If this was not selected, you could go through a manual process, and that is the purpose of this button here on the right. So the one on the left, we've seen about it. That's where you edit your trained protocols and define your metrics and populations. The button on the right is for manually exporting data to the QC training database. So once the data has been exported to this database, and for these 3 plates, 1, 2, and 3, it has happened automatically, you can see the results down here. There's a little QC tab. Here you can see your trained protocol, and if you double click here, you see your 2 controls. And if I double click high control, for example, here is what is called a Levy-Jennings chart, where you see the raw data on the y-axis, the number of runs on the x-axis. Each little dot here is coming from your runs. The green line is the target average that you had entered, and these intervals here are 2 and 3 standard deviations. And so what this graph allows you to check is that your control stays within expected limits. I can, as you can see here, switch to my low control, where here I'm looking at lot number 2, which is empty, and if I switch to lot number 1, here is the actual data. As you can see through this little button here, I can actually sort by user type, by reader type, and by serial number. So there is some sorting capability after the fact. So that's how the QC training module works. Another thing to keep in mind is that what is tracked here is the protocol itself. So if I create a new experiment, for example, I go here, a week later, I create a new experiment using an existing protocol, and I select the same protocol. The results of the measurements will be logged onto the same charts. So as I was saying at the beginning, it's not the experiments that you track, it's the protocols, and any experiment created from a tracked protocol will see its data go into the same database and on the same graphs.